Lawson Continual Learning Series offers free training and coaching guide on how you can prepare your own procurement policy statements. The 50 procurement policy statements you should know. Video provides a head start for procurement practitioners who wish to write for their own policies, both for the departments, suppliers, and anyone who wishes to sell goods and services. To suggestions offered are by no means comprehensive. They can further expand and include additional policy statements, objectives, and criteria unique to the organization in dealing with their interested parties. 1. Authorization to raise a purchase requisition. A statement specifically states who has the authority to raise a purchase requisition. Note: at the start of any procurement, the organization needs to control spending from the source. If no proper check and balance mechanism in place at the source, very soon the organization would land up with stock surplus and redundancy. 2. Authorization and approval of procurement. A statement to inform the interested parties that all purchases required an appropriate approving authority, otherwise payment may be delayed, and in this case it may constitute a null and void purchase. Note: every purchase is financed and paid by the organization or taxpayer money unless there is a proper and effective control mechanism. Very soon it may get into purchase redundancy, financial devastation, and collapse. 3. Confirmation and acknowledgement of order. A statement to highlight the procedural importance of order acknowledgement to fulfill the offer and unqualified acceptance in contract law. This can be done in writing, oral, express, and implied. 4. Quotation and bid document requirements. A statement to inform the seller that any quotation and bid documents submitted for consideration shall be clear and precise without ambiguity and vagueness, otherwise it may lead to. 5. Assignment and transfer of the contract to a third party. A statement to qualify that contract between the named parties shall not be allowed to assign and novate to a third party, otherwise it would literally invite complication and non-performance of prestation. 6. Amendments and changes to the procurement order. A statement to allow alterations and change event a deadlock or otherwise open for the supplier to renegotiate for additional costs and benefits. 7. Commitment to delivery schedule. Nothing is more important in a contract without the supplying party making a firm delivery schedule. On-time delivery assurance is the crux of a successful procurement agreement. 8. Invoice clearance and payment. A statement to advise the seller that payment will only be processed upon receipt of complete documentation fulfilling the buyer's procurement terms and conditions. 9. Progress and milestone payment. A statement to ensure that any progress and milestone payment needs an independent assessor or adjudicator to determine the quantum, confirm and sign off the payment release. 10. Advance payment and deposit. A statement to inform the seller that advanced payment or deposit for products and services procured is not acceptable. All goods and services procured shall be based on the terms and conditions stated in the procurement order and contract. 11. Price fixing, bid rigging, and unfair competition. A statement to warn seller that in dealing with the procurement organization any initiative, form, and collaboration to cause price fixing, bid rigging, and prevent healthy competition is not acceptable nor condoned. 12. Approved vendor list. It is important to establish, assess, evaluate, and approve vendors who are suitable, have integrity and commitment for long-term mutual benefits and goodwill. 13. Petty cash procurement. In procuring products of small and insignificant value, it should be handled and managed separately in the manner that will save time and administrative cost, hence a simple petty cash procurement policy should be sufficient. 14. Competitive bidding and tender. This is to ensure supply chain will continue to obtain products and services at a reasonable price and an equal opportunity for all. It will be helpful to include a statement to state that the company is not obliged to accept the lowest bid or tender. 15. Purchase for employees. This should generally be discouraged to prevent other unethical issues and implications arising from the seller giving favorable treatment at the expense of the procurement organization. 16. Cartel, territorial imposition, and anti-competition. A statement to discourage and sanction the seller for ganging up and collaborating with other sellers to control the supply chain by hoarding supplies, controlling prices, and preventing new entries through unfair and unethical practice against the interest of the buyer. 17. After-sale services. A statement to mention that supplier is obliged, under the contract, to ensure and provide after-sale services including maintenance, training, installation, etc., for a specific period to be determined by both parties. Note: this is to avoid and prevent any dispute over additional costs bin charter stage. 18. Advertisement and promotion. A statement to specifically notify the supplier that any forms of advertisement and promotion arising from the contract is strictly not allowed unless prior consent is obtained in writing. 19. Compliance with legal and regulatory requirements, a statement to emphasize that all dealings, transactions and supply services must be lawful and in compliance with legal rules, laws, and regulatory requirements, otherwise the contract shall be treated null and void and damages shall be imposed. 20. Confidentiality and non-disclosure. It is important to include a clause in the procurement contract that the dealing and relationship is confidential and shall not be disclosed to any third party with consent of the other party. 21. Copyright, trademark, and patent. A. Who has the ownership? B. Is usually the originator or its registered owner. However, when a buyer purchased the product with this registration, it is important that the buyer obtained and secured free access and the use of the product without infringement of such rights. 22. Applicable laws. A statement to inform parties that any disputes, claims and differences in the procurement contract shall be adjudicated and presided by the governing laws. Example, any disputes, differences, and claims which cannot be amicably resolved shall be referred and presided by the courts of laws in, name the country. 23. Liquidated damage and claims. It is often involving late delivery or failure to complete the project on time. Claiming for liquidated damage should be the last resource. It is a deterrence rather than an anticipated failure of the parties. The process to arbitrate and litigate liquidated damage and claims may not necessarily achieve any financial benefits for both parties. 24. Determination of price paid based on expert adjudication. It is quite common in the construction and building industry where works done cannot be predetermined to the contracting phase due to the complexity of the works. However, parties agreed on a fixed rate and final payment will be determined by an expert to adjudicate the quantum of payment. 25. Arbitration and mediation. You can't be too sure even in a sound procurement contract that situation wouldn't turn sour. Note, a well-drafted arbitration and mediation clause in procurement contract will go a long way to save money, time, and headache of having to go through the long-drawn and costly process of dispute resolution. Get it done before signing the agreement. 26. Awarding scheme and demerit report, a statement to encourage and recognize vendors who have made undeniable effort and commitment to improve and innovate their supply chain through an award scheme. Equally underperformance vendors should be reported and counseled. 27. Ethical conduct. Fundamental principle of procurement is ethical dealing, respect, and integrity. As professional procurement specialists, we subscribe to our code of ethics, which we guard dearly and professionally. 28. Expediting and follow-up. Nothing is more assuring until the goods procured arrived on time, with minimum cost and hastening effort, as planned. 29. Illegal trade and transaction. A statement to warn interested in services supplied is not obtained from any illegal and unlawful means, sources, materials, and production. 30. Intellectual property ownership. A statement to inform and remind the seller that any information, invention, product design, manufacturing technique, and creation, developed and supplied arising out the procurement contract shall be sole right and 31. Backdoor selling. A statement to sanction and prevent such practices to avoid any hijacking and undermining the procurement management systems. Note, backdoor sellers are those who chose to persuade and convince the end user directly to gain favor and priority to their products by bypassing the procurement department. 32. Child labor and modern slavery. A statement in the policy to caution and forewarn suppliers to ensure that their entire supply chain shall not in any way engage, procure and employ children in their production, logistics and supply operations, including appropriate welfare, safe working condition, reasonable wage, work hours, etc., are been observed and implemented. Note, the penal Section 54(1) of the Modern Slavery Act 2015 and Singapore Prevention of Human Trafficking Act 2014 are very specific and clear. Any of individual or company who is caught committing such offense is liable for fine not exceeding $100,000, and with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years, and shall be liable to caning not exceeding 6 strokes. Any subsequent offenses the quantum shall increase exponentially. 33. Gift and entertainment. Many organizations have in their procurement policy to discourage the receiving of gifts and entertainments from external parties. If they are caught offering gift and entertainment in any form or kinds, they will be barred from future dealings. Nearer to the festive season, it is common for organizations to send a reminder. Note, the Prevention of Corruption Act Cap 241 and the Bribery and Corruption Laws and Regulations 2020 are very clear on this matter. 34. Complaints and feedback. In promoting and practicing fairness, neutrality, and objectivity in dealing with the suppliers, it is prudent to inform them of the opportunity and avenue to raise their concerns and suggestions for continual improvement. 35. Guarantee and warranty. A statement to explain the different meaning between guarantee and warranty. while guarantee is a pledge that the goods purchased to meet the intended purpose, and warranty is an assurance that the goods purchased is of a merchantability quality. 36. Labeling, tagging, bar and QR coding, a statement to instill the responsibility of the seller to ensure proper and accurate identification and coding of the product purchased before delivery. Labeling and coding can be a very expensive and tedious process. 37. Packaging and packing, a statement to ensure that goods purchased are adequately and properly packed for the mode of shipment and delivery. 38. Third-party inspection and certification, engaging a third-party inspection and certification of products, equipment, and structure are quite common for certain industries such as marine, oil and gas, plant, and construction. A statement should be included in the procurement contract that payment shall only be made upon successful inspection and certification by the qualified and authorized third-party inspector. 39. Disposal of chemicals, solid waste, hazard and toxic substances, radioactive materials, etc. A clause to impose on the seller to ensure proper disposal of chemicals, solid waste, hazard, and toxic substances, radioactive materials, etc., used in the production of products purchased, and documented evidence to support the action taken. 40. Emission control and green initiatives, subscribing to UNESCO Global Sustainability Development. The procurement policy should include a provision that the seller of goods and services complies and demonstrates a commitment to environment control. 41. Non-disclosure of information, a statement to remind and forewarn the supplier of the non-disclosure of confidential material, knowledge, or information is given or in possession during business relationships and transactions from time to time. 42. Person Data Protection Act, a statement to inform the company subscribes, complies, and abides by the laws, legal and regulatory requirements on matters of Personal Data Protection Act deemed in force. 43. Conflict of interest, a breach of this nature can have serious consequences. It is not only important to inform, educate, and forewarn parties with properly documented procedures of what constitutes a conflict of interest and how the organization would handle, sanction, and penalize the defaulted individual or party. 44. Strategic partnerships, as a long-term strategy, the procurement organization should develop a program to engage and collaborate with critical suppliers in order to develop a more inclusive buyer-seller relationship and cooperation. 45. Corporate responsibility management, in practicing and committing to sustainable procurement, a policy to champion and ensure that all dealings with interested parties do not fall foul of its own responsibilities and commitments. Lead by example speaks louder than word. 46. Sustainability management. The United Nations have identified 17 Sustainable Development Goals to achieve in 2030. Procurement organization can contribute significantly by ensuring the procurement of goods and services comply with environment and green initiative, innovation, and infrastructure development, reduce carbon footprint, gender equality, promote peaceful societies, and eradicate poverty for long-term sustainability. 47. Supplier relationship management. The benefits of building a strong buyer-seller relationship are better communication, understanding, openness, effect problem-solving through cooperation, and improve supply chain last-mile delivery. 48. Joint research and development, a statement to encourage and participate in a joint RAND framework between the buyer and seller organization as continual improvement. 49. Training and development. Procurement professionals are living in the world of fast-changing and high-speed advancement in IT technology, IoT and AI world of reality. Hence procurement organizations must constantly plan, develop, upgrade, and improve the competency level of their staff by means of a structured training and development program. 50. Whistleblowing policy, a statement in the policy to inform interested parties and stakeholders the avenue to report any information and activity that is deemed illegal, unethical, and dishonest to the board and assuring them that their identity is protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act.